We've explored the subtle art of extracting secrets previously. Now, we delve deeper. This is where Machiavelli's genius goes beyond simply gaining information and into the realm of true control, bending perception itself until others move exactly how you want them to, without ever realizing you were the architect. Let's continue with the advanced psychological traps. This is one of Machiavelli's most overlooked, yet incredibly potent, tactics. When you genuinely want the unvarnished truth from someone, the last thing you should ever do is judge it. The more neutral you remain, the more extreme, the more open people become. Because here's the crucial secret. Most people aren't lying to hide facts. They're lying because they deeply expect you to disapprove of the truth. So when Machiavelli wanted to know someone's real motives, their hidden intentions, he never confronted them with suspicion or accusation. He did the exact opposite. He offered a psychological space utterly devoid of consequences. He'd calmly say, "That's completely understandable. I honestly would have done the same." Or, "There's a certain undeniable logic to that kind of decision, even if it seems dark to others." Or, "We all make moves others wouldn't fully understand from their perspective." To the average person, these words might sound like simple, casual phrases. But to a master manipulator, they are powerful keys that unlock hidden doors. Because when someone truly realizes you won't shame them, you won't condemn them, they open up. They overshare. They often confess deeper sins, just to meticulously test whether you'll finally recoil. And when you don't, when you remain completely unruffled, they lean closer. They reveal more. They start peeling themselves open for you, almost as if it's their own idea, to see just how much you will accept. Machiavelli knew that judgment is a towering wall. Remove it, and even kings will speak freely. And here's the most dangerous part. They leave those conversations liking you more, feeling a deeper connection, because you made them feel genuinely accepted in their darkest, most vulnerable moments. What they don't realize is you weren't accepting them. You were meticulously extracting their deepest truths. When someone suspects you're fishing for specific information, they instantly go cold. They give short, clipped answers. They become defensive. They know what you're after, and they strategically won't give it. So, Machiavelli would expertly distract them. He'd ask questions about everything but the actual target subject. If he wanted to know someone's political loyalty, he'd ask about their opinions on mutual acquaintances or rivals. If he wanted to know someone's ambitions, he'd ask about their friends' mistakes or successes. If he wanted to know someone's hidden plans, he'd ask about the flaws in someone else's strategy or a general problem. Why this approach? Because people drop their guard completely when the conversation isn't directly about them. Their ego subtly detaches. Their mouth moves faster. They speak truth, disguised as casual commentary or analysis of others. They genuinely think they're sharing harmless opinions. But Machiavelli is meticulously collecting data, calibrating their values, tracking their grudges, mapping out their true loyalties. Once he sees the pattern, he no longer needs to ask the real question, because the answer is already laid bare in the unguarded way they spoke about others. This trap is lethal because it never looks like a trap. The victim walks away thinking, "What a deep, thoughtful conversation that was." But what they really experienced was a confession session disguised as objective analysis. They gave away everything without ever realizing they were being studied. Machiavelli deeply understood the secret, primal need of every human being to be genuinely respected by those they perceive as powerful or influential. And this trap skillfully flips that impulse inside out. When someone believes you truly admire them, not just like them, but genuinely respect their mind, their cunning, their unique abilities, they will go to extraordinary lengths to perform for you. They will strive to impress you even more. And in that relentless performance, they inadvertently begin revealing far more than they ever should. But here's the specific twist. Machiavelli used inverted admiration. He wouldn't just offer generic praise. He would casually, almost offhandedly, praise someone's intelligence or subtlety in a specific area that hinted at strategic prowess. For example, the way you handled that disagreement, only someone truly sharp would have seen that move. Or, you remind me of someone I knew who was a master of strategy, ruthless but precise. Now the person thinks. He sees me as a strategist. He sees me as a powerful mind. He sees me as dangerous. And what do powerful, admired minds do when they feel truly seen and admired? They try to prove that image. They give more intricate details. They start explicitly showing their techniques. They volunteer truths they've kept hidden for years, simply to reinforce your high impression of them. And all the while, they're exposing the very tactics and vulnerabilities Machiavelli wanted to uncover. Because flattery doesn't just feel good. It becomes a powerful mirror that people desperately want to live up to. You casually tell someone, "You strike me as a very discreet person," and suddenly they're proving it by oversharing how discreet they are. You say, "You're the type who always keeps leverage," and suddenly they're showing you exactly how they do it. That's the genius of inverted admiration. You give someone a crown they didn't ask for, and they'll then show you where they keep the entire kingdom, just to prove they deserve it. By this point, the person sitting across from Machiavelli has no idea what has truly happened. They genuinely believe they've been respected. They think they've been heard. They feel they've been chosen special. What they absolutely don't realize is that they've been meticulously dissected, their loyalties mapped, their weaknesses identified, their true intentions revealed, their leverage willingly handed over. And Machiavelli never raised his voice, never threatened, never begged. He just listened better than they ever expected and made them feel far safer than they ever should have felt. That's the most terrifying part. When people are tortured, they know they've been broken. But when they're manipulated like this, they leave the room thinking it was their idea to share everything. They believe they still have control. But the cold truth is, they lost it the moment they felt truly understood. And that's when Machiavelli smiled. Because the most dangerous secrets are the ones you give willingly to someone who never asked directly, but always knew exactly what you needed to feel. Once you reveal those truths, there's no unraveling it. You've armed the quietest person in the room, and you'll never even realize it. By the time a person realizes what they've said, it's already too late. Because Machiavelli didn't just collect secrets, he converted them into leverage, into predictions, into powerful weapons. You thought you were venting, you thought you were bonding, you thought you were admired, but you were being mapped piece by piece until your entire operating system was exposed. And now, even in silence, you could be controlled. That's the chilling brilliance of Machiavelli's methods. He didn't extract secrets to simply possess them. He extracted them to build a literal blueprint of the soul, so that when the perfect time came, he could bend your behavior without ever physically touching you. Let's break down how he used these secrets, how the traps weren't just for revelation, but for control, and more importantly, how he ensured you'd never realize you were being played. Once Machiavelli knew what someone feared, loved, hated, or secretly desired, he wouldn't react impulsively. He'd calmly log it. Because in Machiavellian strategy, reacting is for amateurs. Waiting is for true rulers. Each of these traps, admiration, silence, misdirection, had one more crucial layer. They left the victim feeling seen. And that's the most effective illusion Machiavelli ever created. He made people feel that they weren't just understood, but profoundly accepted. Why is that so dangerous? Because when someone feels truly seen and accepted, they stop hiding. And when they stop hiding, they inevitably start relying on your perspective, on your presence, on your approval. And now you are no longer just the person who knows their secrets. You're the person who understands them. And what do people willingly do for those who deeply understand them? They serve willingly, often blindly, forever. Machiavelli didn't just build followers, he built dependencies. Now comes the coldest move of all, the one that truly separates a casual manipulator from a master. You never used the secret immediately. Machiavelli would wait, days, weeks, months, sometimes even years, because people forget what they've revealed. But Machiavellians never do. And when the moment was absolutely perfect, when the person was rising, or at their most confident, or at their most seemingly secure, that's when he'd deploy the truth they once whispered in confidence. Not as blackmail, not as a direct threat, but as a subtle, chilling reminder. You once told me something, and I've always respected that about you. Just enough to say, I haven't forgotten. Just enough to inject a flicker of doubt. Just enough to make them realize, he still has that. He still knows me. He still sees me. And now, subtly, they begin to behave. They comply. Not because of overt power, but because of a shared, remembered history. That's the chilling genius of delayed revelation. You don't need to directly punish. You just let the memory of your knowledge punish them on its own. Now let's flip the frame. Because if Machiavelli used these tactics, so can others. So how do you defend against this masterful psychological extraction? Not by becoming paranoid, but by mastering emotional discipline. The most devastating kind of power is the kind you never detect. It doesn't speak. It doesn't demand. It doesn't threaten. It listens. It calculates. And then when it moves, it's already too late. That was Machiavelli's genius. He didn't wait for weakness. He designed it. And he didn't torture people for their secrets. He turned them into willing participants in their own undoing. By the time they realized what had happened, he didn't need to control them. They were already controlling themselves for him. Now we arrive at the final and most chilling element of all. How Machiavelli used these secrets not only to extract and control, but to rewrite reality itself. After someone confesses something to you, a strange and powerful thing happens in their mind. They assume you now understand them on a deeper level. They imagine a bond, a closeness, a shared truth. They begin to believe that you're like them, or at the very least, that you get them. Machiavelli knew this illusion was golden, because the moment someone believes you truly understand them, they will begin to actively seek your opinion. They'll test your approval. They'll reference your past reactions. They'll unconsciously behave in ways that align with the person you've seen them as, which means you can now do something terrifying. You can slowly reshape who they think they are. They told you they're ruthless. Subtly reinforce it. Of course you made that decision. You've always been 2 steps ahead. They admitted they hate being controlled. You subtly reflect, it's obvious. You've never been the type to follow blindly. And now they start playing the exact role you subtly assigned to them. Not because you commanded it, but because you heard their truth first and reflected it back like a powerful mirror. But it wasn't a mere mirror. It was a blueprint. And by the time they're walking in that new identity, the floor beneath their feet belongs entirely to you. Once you know someone's secret and you reflect it back to them strategically, you don't need to manipulate their external world. You manipulate their internal one. The cage no longer needs bars. They build it themselves. They limit their words around you. They calculate what they share. They anticipate your reactions. They crave your guidance or fear your silence. You have become their psychological frame, and the frame always controls the painting. This is what Machiavelli truly mastered. Not just information, not just manipulation, but architecting belief, crafting the unspoken rules by which others operate, without ever appearing to have done anything at all. That is the highest level of control, and most people never realize it's even happening. You may think this is historical. That was Machiavelli's time. People are smarter now. Wrong. People are more talkative now, more reactive, more attention-starved, more emotionally impulsive, which means these psychological traps work even faster today, because now everyone is broadcasting their inner world 24/7. The person who listens with discipline, who watches without rushing, who remains unreadable, has more power now than ever before, because no one else is doing it. They're too busy talking. This is why Machiavelli's approach still haunts every negotiation, every power dynamic, every closed-door conversation, because people are desperate to be seen. And once they feel that you truly see them, they will open their chest and hand you their heart. And they'll do it smiling, because they don't feel broken. They feel understood. But you're not there to understand. You're there to map, collect, and control. That's what separates the casual listener from the master manipulator, the naive ally from the cunning architect, the merely curious from the truly dangerous. So remember this: the most powerful secrets are never screamed. They're whispered, volunteered, laced with a smile, and handed over by someone who thought they were just being real. But the person who listened, he wasn't being real. He was being strategic, and by the time the truth was spoken, he'd already decided how to use it. Not today, not loudly, but quietly, precisely, perfectly, just as Machiavelli would have done. To truly master the subtle art of influence and psychological control, delve into Machiavelli's timeless work, The Prince. Find the link to acquire your copy in the description below. If you see me again, well, congratulations. It means you're starting to think differently. It means you're paying attention. And if that's the case, you already know what to do next. Because in a world full of manipulation, silence, and strategy, you don't follow the noise. You follow the power.